Hi everyone, Dr. Irby from Posturesize. Today we've got a great personal trainer tip for beginners. We're going to be talking about simplifying corrective exercises and how this can be done most effectively to increase your referrals, building your new personal training business, and to increase the outcomes of your workouts with your personal training clients. So one of the most important personal training tips for beginners that I share with the personal trainers I've trained and I've educated in the last 30 years is to get into the importance of corrective exercises and incorporating corrective exercise corrections into your personal training with your clients. You know, many clients don't get good corrective exercise advice from their personal trainers and they wind up injured, or at the very least they wind up not being able to utilize correct mechanics, and their force production of their exercises goes down and they don't get the same type of gains that they do in their strength training, in their hypertrophy training, even in their endurance training. So being able to simplify a very complex subject like corrective exercises is a key ingredient to formulating your toolbox for a successful personal training career. One of the easiest things to do is to just look at the posture of your client and try to integrate those corrections into your training. If you look at your client standing, they have a tendency to lean in more on one edge of their heel, called pronation. Typically, the knee is also going to bend into that inner side, creating a knock knee or a valgus stress at the knee. This aggravates not only the knee joint meniscus problems, patellofemoral problems, but it also has a problem on the hip joint and the lower back, because as the knee comes in, the hip typically drops down and the lower back starts to curve away. As that happens, there's compression on one side of the back and overstretching on another. If you put this into an exercise and if you identify it and assess it correctly, you'll notice that when they lunge, when they squat, they're going to have a tendency to have that heel fall down on one side and their knee's going to come in. And you'll see this squatting and lunging. As they're moving, that knee's going to move in. You may think it's all in the knee trying to push it out, but the real correction is in the foot. If they learn to stabilize that ankle joint and what we call the subtalar joint underneath the ankle and the heel to a neutral position so they bear equal weight on both the inner and outer corners of the heel, they'll be able to do their lunges, they'll be able to do their squats in better form. By correcting the foot, that'll help to even out the lower back and the rib cage. Another typical tendency to look for with posture is if clients have a tendency to walk on the treadmill, run, even walking up the stairs in and out of the gym, you notice one foot flares out more than another. That's called external hip rotation. That causes a hip hiking or an elevation of the hip on that side and compression of the lower back and typical compensatory leaning into the rib cage on that side. That affects everything from shoulder mechanics to lower back mechanics. If they're squatting, if they're deadlifting, if they're doing stiff-legged deadlifts, you're going to notice that the side that has typically the leg that turns out, that side's going to be more likely to hip hike. And you'll see this in not only beginning clients at a very young age that have poor form, but also in competitive athletes. I've witnessed this in many competitive powerlifters, Olympic weightlifters. If we have a compensatory change from a slight mechanical problem that hasn't been corrected correctly, because we're not identifying where the source is coming from, we're much more likely to use that when we squat, when we deadlift. As you come down out of the deadlift, if that hip comes up and the low back gets compressed on that side, you're going to be much more likely to irritate discs, facets, muscle strains from overcompensation on that side, and overstretching injury on the other. So looking at how we assess clients and how we look at how their posture and their movement patterns play into how they move when they're exercising is important. Another example is if you have a client, let's say, with a rounded shoulder posture or a tipped shoulder posture where the top of the shoulder blade is more forward and the bottom of the shoulder blade lifts off the back of the rib cage. Many times this is going to create a compression underneath the top of the arm bone in what's called the subacromial space and create impingement on the rotator cuff tendons. If we're doing overhead presses, let's say, and we don't know how to properly stabilize that shoulder joint by creating good alignment in the shoulder blade, as we press overhead and the set gets difficult and we're trying to grind out the last few reps, the tendency to go into the normal posture that the client is strong at, that they're used to doing during the day, their postural fault is going to occur. That shoulder blade is going to tilt and there's going to be impingement on the shoulder. They may not notice that actually while they're training, but you're going to get a phone call when they're canceling the next workout with you because of shoulder pain. If you had identified that beforehand, you're going to help keep them away from aggravating their shoulder as well as improving the mechanics. When they start knowing that you're a trainer that knows how to identify mechanical problems, assessing these problems, correcting them, and integrating these corrections into your workouts, into your exercises, not only are they going to be happy that you're keeping them away from injury, they're also going to notice that their performance is going up because they have a better mechanical advantage at producing force from a more mechanically sound joint complex, and they're going to be increasing their referrals. They're going to be talking about you to their friends. That's going to increase your personal training business. So when you're looking for tips for beginning personal trainers, for personal trainers that have just begun, it's very important to get into corrective exercise, improving these mechanical corrections in your clients right from the start, right from when you start training them day one. That's going to have a good effect as you build your business. It's going to help to attract more clients. It's going to help to keep your clients out of injury. We have a great personal training program, a crash course that takes all of these complex biomechanical assessments and corrections and lets you understand how to plug them into your exercises on our website, posturesize.com. We go over a very distilled down way of assessing clients, of correcting exercise modifications and mechanics, and how to design a program that keeps your clients progressing and making gains without hurting themselves based on those mechanical challenges. If you like these personal trainer tips for beginners, feel free to subscribe to our channel. We got a lot of other great videos out there to help you as you're beginning your personal training career to get the right tips for personal training, to improve your game, to help your clients make better goals, and to help keep them out of injury. Any questions or comments, write in. I'll be delighted to try to answer them. If you'd like to help me share this valuable information with other new personal trainers who are looking for tips to improve their personal training business, give me a thumbs up below. I hope this video on personal trainer tips for beginners helps you with your personal training business and improves your overall business outcomes and revenue.